December has begun, and with the start of December, I would like to make this year's video about Christmas gifts for this year. More after the intro. Enjoy! Yes, just like last year, I want to take the opportunity to share some Christmas gift ideas for family or even for yourselves right in time for the pre-Christmas season. Of course, as always, in the smart home sector. And these are also products that I have featured on my channel this year in almost all cases. That means if you want more details about these products, you can of course find them already in my videos. Additionally, I have made a special effort this year to present everything in a somewhat categorically broad manner. This means that you will find not only products for everyone, but also niche products where you might need to do a bit of hands-on work. These are not items that you can simply unpack and start using. Instead, you will actually need to assemble a few things. So I hope there is something for everyone in every price category. And with that, I would say, let's get started with the very first product. And that is, as it was last year, of course, the Home Assistant standard installation. This involves a Raspberry Pi 4, which is simply excellent as a smart home hub, especially when paired with an SSD. However, for those who want to delve deeper into the topic, using an SSD makes the entire installation significantly more complicated. So I would say that for most people, the SD card will probably be the easiest installation option. The whole setup, along with a power supply and a Zigbee dongle, is actually the perfect smart home hub for beginners. The whole setup is relatively easy to install. There are dozens of videos on how to set it up in 2021, and afterwards you have a beautiful user interface and the ability to add all kinds of smart home products to Home Assistant, making it compatible with HomeKit, Google Home, Alexa, etc. Alternatively, you can simply hang a tablet on the wall and use it to control everything. Where there is a smart home hub, there must also be a switch. An actuator should not be missing, and there are several options available. On one hand, we have the regular Philips Hue switch, the Aqara switch, the IKEA switch, and of course, this year the Philips Hue in-wall sockets have been added, allowing you to keep your everyday non-smart switches and retrofitting them to be smart. Everything works here via Zigbee, and it should be suitable for every budget. Taste should be taken into account, depending on how much functionality you want, whether you need 4 buttons, if a small simple light switch is enough for you, or if you prefer a more classic switch, or maybe even want to keep your original light switch. There should be something for everyone. Next, we move on to the bulb. Where I recommended the first generation IKEA bulbs last year, I would not do so anymore, as almost all of them have died on me. The second generation definitely offers a broader perspective. It still works for me in 2021. However, I have also started using a few other companies' products. On one hand, the Linkind pairs, and another company which I will definitely link for you below in the description. Check which one is the cheapest at the moment. The prices fluctuate a bit, and since they are all roughly equally good, I would just go with the cheapest one. Of course, there are a few things to consider here as well. On one hand, you need to think about what connections you have on your bulb, such as GU, E, and so on. And on the other hand, which features you would like to have. Should the bulbs simply shine in any color temperature in 2021? Would you like to be able to adjust the color temperature, or should they even be able to shine in colors? I'll just pack a few models for you in the description below. Depending on what you would like, you can simply take a look there. Next, we have a smart plug. There are various versions available here as well. Of course, we are focusing on the Zigbee variant. And what I find really cool are sockets with integrated power or consumption meters. That means you connect the components to your PC and can simultaneously watch how much power the end device consumes in the end. Especially practical for refrigerators, washing machines, and so on, to create automations that notify you when the washing machine has finished, or if you might have left the refrigerator door open for too long. Before we dive deeper into the programming level, I wanted to introduce a product that was also featured in my favorite series last year, which I am still using and I'm totally happy with because I hardly have to deal with it anymore. And that is the TADO Thermostats. They are relatively easy to integrate into Home Assistant. They are not the cheapest, but they definitely have, in my opinion, the most beautiful design, as it is very simple and just has a small display on the outside. They require an extra hub, which is a bit unfortunate, but you have to live with that. The advantage is that everything runs in its own ecosystem, allowing you to not think about it at all after the setup and the establishment of some schedules. You can still push data into Home Assistant and control it from there. For example, when you open a window and the window sensor detects it, it can turn off the TADO heating, so you don't have to think about it too much, as it operates within its own ecosystem. I can definitely recommend it. It's best to wait for a deal. Sometimes they are available at a lower price. And together with the TADO wall thermostats for heating, you can even turn the entire boiler on and off, not just the individual radiator. Also, I almost forgot, of course, a Christmas gift that really makes a huge difference because it empties your pockets. Not just in monetary terms, but also because you no longer have to carry a key with you. Because the smart lock that I have been using for years is the Nuki lock. Super easy to install, super simple. Basically, you just insert the old key and then it can be locked or unlocked from the inside. The whole system works very reliably and is also very secure when you replace the cylinder, as you can additionally attach a second key from the outside. For those who prefer a simpler approach and are a bit more interested in tinkering, I have another option as well. There will also be a separate video on this, but for you, here's a tip. Loqed is a company from the Netherlands that has introduced a completely unique locking system. I have been testing it for quite a while now and will definitely make a video about it. In any case, you have a display on the outside which allows you to enter a PIN and also see a few status messages. In contrast to the Nuki lock with the 2001, you don't have a key that you need to insert and turn. Instead, you have a complete cylinder, which means you no longer have the bulky part on the inside of the lock. The whole thing somewhat resembles a hotel design. It's actually quite sleek and simple. If you like that, I will definitely link it below in the description. It's relatively easy to install and offers good value for money, making it a very, very cool Christmas gift as it allows you to save on keys. So, with that, let's dive a little deeper into one of the latest videos. I introduced you to the Xiaomi scale, a smart scale that isn't particularly exciting on its own, but when combined with an ESP, it can turn into a really cool device. Because you can integrate them into Home Assistant using ESP Home, which is a relatively simple flashing program for microcontrollers, and thereby retrieve all the values, create different user profiles, track things over time, and so on. It definitely sounds super exciting, and for people who are a bit interested in getting into it and doing some DIY, this is definitely a very, very cool option, and also looks quite stylish. So, next we dive into the really complicated levels, because for all those who feel confident enough to tinker and play around with an ESP, I can definitely recommend the electricity meter for Home Assistant. Of course, you also need to have a compatible power meter, but most power meters will have an IR sensor. This is a small light that blinks at the electricity meter, I believe, for every 1/10 of a kWh. And with a corresponding sensor and the ESP, this blinking can be read and then integrated into Home Assistant to track the energy consumption of your entire house or apartment. And you might also find a few sources of interference that consume a lot of electricity, which you could potentially turn off in the future, especially in connection with these smart plugs. It's not that complicated at all if you feel confident about connecting a few cables and getting a bit familiar with ESP Home. I've already made videos on this, and I'll definitely link them here at this point. And of course, all the parts you need for it. In the corresponding video, I also started a giveaway for a sensor. I would also like to expand this and give away a second one 2001. Just leave a comment here or under the other video. I will then select people to whom I will raffle off the whole thing. Definitely participate if you're interested in such a DIY project. So that should be it for my entire Christmas wish list that I have put together here. There should be something for everyone from every spectrum. If you have any more ideas for Christmas or questions about the products, feel free to share them in the comments. Otherwise, I would say, see you again next week on Wednesday at 1:00. Until then, take care and goodbye.